4 years ago, 20-year-old Will Houghton was riding his bike when he was knocked down by a car and killed. Will's organs were donated and went on to save 12 lives, which is absolutely incredible. His mum, Liz, says one of the things that helped her to cope was getting thank you letters from some of the families. And she's now launched a campaign to encourage more people to do the same, because that really made all of the difference in the world to you.
It did, and actually what I didn't realise was that the recipients don't know that the donor families want to hear.
Oh,
and that was...
I thought they did.
No, it was really interesting because after 2 years we hadn't heard from anybody.
Right.
So I was like, you know, if you've had the gift of life, surely they'd be wanting to,
of course,
you know, say something to us.
Of course.
So I phoned up the NHS and I spoke to a lovely, I actually wrote to the CEO, actually, and said, you know, how does this work?
Yeah.
And then I found out that actually, after the organs are retrieved, then there really isn't a network of communication.
So there's no follow-up after that?
Well, you're given a sort of quite a standard letter that says, you know, the heart's gone to... in Will's case, it was a gentleman in his 50s.
Right.
So you hear all these things,
right,
but actually they're quite, you know, quite cold in some
I understand.
ways.
No, and that's not what you need at that point, actually. It really isn't.
Exactly. No. And what I completely understood was the you know, it being anonymous.
For sure, because some people might want that.
Yeah. And that was absolutely fine, but not to hear anything. So I got in touch with our sort of liaison officer who had been looking after us, a nurse, and she said, you know, I'll try and find out.
Right.
So eventually, after 2 years, we heard from the mother of the little boy that got part of Will's liver. Oh, wow. And that was just amazing. Gosh. To have a letter that said, I think she said something like, you know, your son is a hero.
Oh, wow. And see, it's getting that sort of warmth and that humanity, you know, that makes all the difference in the world.
And she said, you know, we think about him every night. And that, to me, was like, that's all I needed to hear.
Exactly.
And it was wonderful. So I was, you know, that's great, you know, maybe we might hear for some more. And then after 3 years, we still hadn't heard from anybody. So I actually wrote to the recipients. Again, I didn't know their name, so I was just...
Right, so do you have to write to... Do you almost have to put that into a system?
Yes, you have to put it into a system.
Right,
and then they sort of let them know that the letter's coming.
OK.
And then I had another letter back, which was fantastic, again, from the son, this time, of the gentleman that got one of Will's kidneys. And that was great. And he said, we left the hospital and we thanked the nurses, we thanked the medical staff, but the one person we weren't able to help or thank was the donor family.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense, does it, really? I mean, it should be... You're absolutely right. It should be up to the person, but they should have that information.
So then
this is what you want to do. This is what you want to do.
Exactly. So then I thought, he really summed it up. And so I went back to the NHS and they were brilliant. And they said, you know what, we would love this to change because actually 90% of donor families want to hear something, just a thank you.
Of course you do.
They don't want to meet them necessarily, but they want to know that your loved ones' organs have made the difference that you would want them to make.
Yeah, it's comfort, isn't it?
Exactly. So 90% want to know, but only between about, I think this year it was about 11% in the first year had written. So I want to know why. You know, why would that be? Surely if you got that, you know, a gift of life, you'd want to say something.
Of course you would.
And then I realised, actually, these recipients have no idea we wanted to know, because there is no best practice out there.
That's crazy.
I know.
That does not make any sense whatsoever. It really doesn't, because I would want to thank you. And it's, again, as you said, it's up to individuals. They don't have to.
No.
And they certainly don't have to meet up. And I can understand why, on both sides, they might not want to do that. But they might. And it would be remarkable, wouldn't it?
Yes. But I think the thing is, what I didn't understand was, obviously, these recipients, they've had, you know, well, in Will's case, the 2 kidney patients have been on dialysis for 8 or 10 years. Wow. 8 and 10 years. So they have had such illness and they've been so unwell. So what you wouldn't expect them to do is to think, I must thank, you know, my donor family. Most importantly, they need to get well.
Sure.
So that was what we, you know, obviously understood.
But I'd also want to know about Will. I mean, you know, I'd want to know about him. I'd want to know, I mean, because, you know, he was only 20.
Yes.
So tell me about your boy. What was he like?
Well, exactly to your point, though, I want the guy that's got his heart to know that he's got a 20-year-old super fit heart.
Yeah.
You know, he only ate avocados and, you know...
He was really sporty as well, wasn't he? 'Cause he was on his bike, sadly, when it happened.
And he was such a bright engaging, charming man, and he was the sort of boy that, or man, that was happy to chat to anybody, whatever background, whatever age, and he was just really engaged with the world.
Yeah.
And I think because of that, we'd actually talked, funnily enough, about organ donating because he got a card as soon as he was 18.
Ah, so you knew about that. And of course, it's going to change, isn't it? We know it's going to change. It's already changed in Wales.
Yes.
It's going to change in Scotland and England next year, that you have to kind of opt out,
yes.
which I think is a brilliant idea.
Yes.
Absolutely fantastic idea.
Yes.
And hopefully when that happens, maybe that's when your changes that you want.
Yes.
That would make perfect sense for that to come into operation as well, wouldn't it?
Well, what's really good is the NHS have been brilliant. So they're letting me be part of this Don't Forget the Donor initiative.
Yeah.
And what it is it's really letting the nursing staff that look after the organ recipients and also themselves to understand why it's important to write. Because for me, it's like a virtuous circle. Will died and nobody could stop that. But he gave his organs. They got life, hopefully. I mean, not all of them worked, but obviously we know quite a few did. And then what we need back as a bereaved family is to know that Will made a difference.
That makes perfect sense.
He made a difference in our lives, but the fact that, so many more people can see, people are going on holiday.
It's amazing. It is absolutely
a boy's going to school. All those things we want to know about. So also we can spread the word to other people to say, actually, giving an organ is a great thing to do because actually for the family that are left behind, that makes you feel like the life was not wasted. I mean, he had a brilliant life. He lived it to his full. But actually to think that he still goes on or his organs go on and making a difference in other people's lives is just essential.
I wish you all the best with it, Liz. I really do. And you'll need to come back and tell us how it's doing next year. We shall follow this. And thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for everything that you're doing. It's great.